AITA for telling my husband we cannot afford to take in his son? I 39F have been married to my husband 41 meters for 12 years. We have 3 children together. Twins ages 11 and a 9-year-old. My husband has a son 14 with Down syndrome and many heart problems. He needs extra attention which we cannot give. He needs extra financial care, which we do not have. He has insurance but it does not cover it all. He has been living with his mother, but his mother was just in a car crash. He's been staying with us for a few days, but his mother's recovery is a long process. It could take up to 8 months to a year or even longer. She's had multiple surgeries and her legs were badly damaged, so she'd have to go through physical therapy and may even be placed in a rehab unit after she is released from the hospital. She has asked my husband if we could take care of him for the time being. My stepson's maternal grandparents have also offered to help out and take him sometimes during the week or on the weekends. The issue is we both work 6 days out of the week. My husband is the only one with a great paying job, so we get by. We're comfortable, but adding another child onto that, with expensive health issues, puts us out of that zone, along with getting utilities paid and food. A few months ago we had a great financial downfall and lost a lot of money. Had to even dig into savings. So this was a reasonable concern. When I brought this up to my husband, he was outraged. He said we couldn't abandon his son, and that I should look for a different job, one to pay better. When I pointed out that we wouldn't have the time, which he needs a lot of attention, my husband pointed out us getting a sitter, which is also something we cannot afford. He won't take no for an answer and is very upset that I am against it. He said I'm treating his son indifferent, and that I should be supporting him. I love my stepson, but I'm just stating the facts. You aren't adding a child. That child existed before your relationship. YTA. I am so pleased your husband is sticking by his son. YTA. YTA. Why don't you send one of your kids away seeing as you think that's acceptable? 1. You knew exactly what you were marrying into. 2. Yes, you're definitely the asshole. YTA. Whether he lives with you or not, your husband has a financial responsibility to this child, and given that the mom is unable to provide right now through no fault of her own, it becomes 100% your husband's job to do so. That means no matter where the child is, you will still see those extra costs. Then there is the moral responsibility. This is his child, just as much as the other 3 are. He is obligated to take care of him. This is something you only get to be against if you are willing to leave your spouse. The maternal grandparents have offered to help out and he should take them up on that for assistance, but in the end, the child needs to be with his available and able parent. Where else did you want him to go? YTA. Here's a solution. Why don't you find a family member that the other 3 kids can live with? That would free up resources to take care of the child with special needs. Does that sound awful? Because it's basically what you're asking your husband to do, just with different favorites. YTA. You're willing to abandon your stepson because it's inconvenient. How is it possible that you weren't financially contributing to his expensive care before the accident? You're both assholes for that alone. Your husband was depending on his ex to do the hard work of taking care of that son all these years. For the next year, he needs to take over. These are the only options I see. He takes a second part-time job to cover the expenses for a sitter. 70+ hours a week sucks? Yep. I did it for almost a year straight and lived to tell the tale. He takes a second part-time job. You stay home to take care of the child, and you squeeze in some hours in a part-time job during school hours to make up the difference in pay. YTA. The poor child has just had his life turned upside down. He had medical problems and now his mom is severely injured and unable to care for him. He needs his dad. He needs love and support. But you're too concerned with counting up the reasons this will discomfort you to stop and think about what this situation is doing to him. He is not just another child. He is your husband's child as much as your three are. Would you send one of yours away if the tables were turned? Would it be reasonable if I said, why don't you go send the twins to live with your parents so you can afford for husband's son to stay? Of course it wouldn't be reasonable. The fact you could be this cold and callous to your husband's son is quite shocking. YTA full score full score full score. Info. How exactly did you approach this issue with your husband? What did you say? And can you afford to pay for utilities and groceries after taking him in? As a medic, I have had patients with developmental disabilities that parents insist on caring for at home even when they are objectively unable to do so. If you are wholly unable to provide the level of care your stepson needs, that's a reality your husband has to come to terms with, especially if trying to do so prevents you from feeding your other children. Hand-waving away legitimate concerns with, you can get a better paying job, doesn't solve anything. However, there's a huge difference between, I don't know if we can afford to keep a roof over our heads, and, your son makes us dig into our savings. YTA. Really? What is his alternative? This is his child. While the situation sucks for everyone, he can't abandon his child. And you knew he existed when you married. You know there are obligations. You're lucky he's not asking for divorce. I'd be disgusted with my partner. YTA. Info. How were the expenses being paid for before the accident? If there was child support or government support, that should be coming to your husband while he has custody. I mean YTA either way for suggesting your husband abandon his son when he needs him. But whether your husband is also is up for grabs depending on how he was supporting his son to begin with. Info. Where are you suggesting that his disabled son go while his mom is incapacitated? Info. What's your suggestion? I mean, it's not like your husband can just ignore his kid's existence. YTA. The fact is this. Your husband has 4 children who he is responsible for. Just because you find it inconvenient does not mean his obligations disappear. Dig deeper into your heart and your finances to make it work. Or accept that you are a gigantic asshole. YTA. How is taking care of his oldest an unexpected expense? Has he not been paying child support for him right along? No matter the reason, you have a lot of excuses ready just because you don't want a Down syndrome person in your house. YTA. It's his child and his responsibility. You don't get to choose to abandon a child. I can't believe you are even asking this. What's the alternative? YTA. And let's all give it up for the OG baby mama who's been looking after that wonderful child for 14 years. Who hopefully has a speedy and wondrous recovery. At least your husband is a decent person.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.